Hey there guys, Nordic Warrior here, hope you guys are all doing well. What did I want to talk about today? I want to talk about what in my personal opinion is one of the absolute worst things about the gaming industry. And one of the main reasons why the general quality of games is so poor these days. So one of the things that I am sick to death of seeing in regards to gaming, and it's something that genuinely irritates me, is that every single time I see a video talking about any game in retrospect, be it an old game, or even a fairly recent one, believe it or not, one comment I consistently see is, "This game needs a remake," or "They should remaster this." Guys, I'm not even exaggerating here. Every single time I watch a retrospective review, the comment section is flooded with variations of this exact same comment. "This should be remade with modern graphics." And I'm starting to wonder whether or not there's a concerted effort by the powers that be in gaming to artificially promote this narrative that all games need to be constantly re-released every generation. Because let's be honest, modern game developers have gotten so lazy over the past decade or so that this is literally starting to become the norm. The root cause of this, in my opinion, is the modern gamer's ridiculous obsession with graphics. Basically, if a game isn't in 1080p, running in 60 frames, and doesn't have a photorealistic character model and graphical fidelity, then most modern gamers won't even touch it. It's the reason why every single time a AAA game comes out, it feels like a tech demo rather than an actual game. I've talked about this in the past. A game comes out, and all the mainstream verified critics all say the exact same thing in regards to the game's quality. "Oh, look at the graphics. 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Game of the year. Greatest game of the generation. Oh, the graphics. Look at the graphics. Look how real it looks." Without mentioning anything about gameplay, level design, combat, controls, content, none of that stuff. It's just, "Oh, the graphics." That's literally all they talk about. Which might explain why, despite all the hype and promotion these games get from the media and casual gamers, they go into obscurity pretty much as soon as they come out. A good example of this would be that boring, bloated piece of crap Starfield. I've never played it, so I won't be showing any footage, because why would I waste my time with that piece of trash? Yeah, as I've mentioned in the past, I use only my own gameplay footage in these videos, but yeah, I digress. I don't own the game, but I know people who do own the game, and I've seen enough to know that it's simply a walking simulator tech demo in space, with thousands of empty planets with nothing to do, no replay value, no interesting levels, characters, factions, literally nothing. It's a complete and utter waste of time. It's just the same bland, corporate trash that gets churned out every year. And the hilarious thing about it is that not even a week after its release, it was already in the bargain bin, and most players went straight back to playing Skyrim. Now nobody is talking about Starfield, and it's in obscurity where it belongs, but I digress. That was just one example of what I'm talking about in regards to the state of modern gaming, particularly in regards to mainstream criticism and the obsession with graphics over fun. As I mentioned earlier, this video is about remakes and remasters, and why I'm sick and tired of gamers constantly begging for them. I mean, I'll actually see comments on a game that's not even that old, games from like 2012, and even more recently than that, with people saying they should be remastered or remade. I mean, why? Why on earth would a game that's not even a decade old and is already a HD game need to be re-released? For what reason? Why would you, or anybody with a functioning brain, want to spend $70 on a game that you already own? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's just blind, consumerist nonsense, and it's led to even more predatory behaviour from the game developers than we already had before. Don't get me wrong, I understand if the game is several generations old, let's say an MS-DOS game, or a Sega Genesis game, or a Super Nintendo game, or something like that. Of course, I'm talking about games that are out of print, hard to find, and generally not that accessible to modern gamers. Those games, I understand remaking them for modern consoles. That's fine, that makes perfect sense. But taking a game from 2014 that you can already play on modern systems and re-releasing it at full price with a slight graphical upgrade is flat out unacceptable. And the worst part is, this wouldn't be happening if gamers refused to buy them. But of course, they do buy them, because gamers have no standards whatsoever and will buy anything that the gaming industry spits out at them, regardless of quality. It's bad enough that they buy every single Call of Duty every year. Yeah, Activision releases a new Call of Duty every year, literally the exact same thing every single time, with a slightly different background and a few new graphical assets. And these desperate consumers buy every single one at full price on release. Why? I don't know, you tell me. The last Call of Duty I bought on its release was Modern Warfare 2 in 2009, yeah, the original. It was very clear to me after that Activision was milking the franchise, so I completely lost interest. But as much as I love gaming, I'm not a ravenous consumer. I'm not going to buy the exact same game every year at full price, regardless of how much I like the game. My time and money are better spent elsewhere. If the rest of the gaming world did the same and voted with their wallets, we wouldn't have had a Call of Duty every year. We'd have had new games and better games with some innovation and creativity. Maybe the shooter genre would have evolved rather than stayed the exact same. And it's not even just Call of Duty. It's the same with franchises like Far Cry and Assassin's Creed. They keep re-releasing the same thing over and over again with a slightly different background. And consumers keep buying them. I say all that to say this. Now, this ravenous consumerism has gotten so bad that game developers, rather than milk franchises by releasing a new game every year or so, have now realised that they don't even need to do that. They can instead just re-release the actual same game. Earlier I briefly mentioned Skyrim, which is one of my personal favourite games of all time. Well, Bethesda realised that rather than making new games, which would, require some effort, thought and creativity, they could just re-release Skyrim every year. Seriously, I'm not joking. Skyrim has been out for 12 years now, and the game has had a new release pretty much every year, and people keep buying it. Bethesda is literally mocking their own fans, taking the piss out of them while releasing the same game every single year, sometimes with no changes whatsoever. And when they do add changes, it usually makes the game worse rather than better, shutting down the servers, charging players for mods, restricting offline access to a single player game, and generally pimping their customers for everything they're worth. And still, these desperate consumers keep buying the game. I mean, I see people on forums complaining about the changes made to Skyrim and issues caused by Bethesda's meddling. Then these people admit to having bought numerous versions of the game. And my reaction is the same every time. Why are you buying a game that you already have? What is wrong with you? Seriously, this ravenous consumerism needs to stop, because it's absolutely killing gaming. It's not even just Bethesda. Rockstar, who according to some of my viewers are absolute saints, who can do no wrong, and they'll attack you for daring to criticize anything they do. They've been getting in on the trend also, re-releasing their games for no other reason than to milk their customers. They re-released Red Dead Redemption, a game that's already a HD game, and the original is already backwards compatible, yet fanboys still buy it, and still pay full price for it, despite the original being as cheap as ever, and being very, very easy to find. They re-released GTA 5 I don't know how many times at this point, and made no improvements from the original. They also released that garbage GTA Definitive Edition, again another situation where the original trilogy of games, GTA 3, Vice City and San Andreas, were already backwards compatible on 360 and could be played in HD, with widescreen and everything. San Andreas is even compatible on Xbox One, so you can play the original there if you want to. and they still released a remaster at full price, and so many dumbasses bought it. And given the absolute state of the game, I'd say you deserve what you get for buying it. There was also The Last of Us, which I never played and I don't intend to. That game got re-released, what, like 4 times or something? And it's only a decade old, again, completely unnecessary. Guys, this has to stop, because this predatory behaviour from game developers is only going to get worse if you guys keep supporting it. I've been a gamer my entire life, and I genuinely mean that. I was born in the early 90s, and have been gaming from the mid-90s, so I've seen many generations of gaming come and go. And I can honestly say that this generation of gaming is the absolute worst I have ever experienced. I'm old enough to remember a time when gamers in general actually had standards, and if games weren't good enough for us, critics and general gamers would be honest about it, and shady practices wouldn't continue for very long. When publishers treated their customers like crap, people refused to fund them and voted with their wallets. If a game was a boring, crappy tech demo and not an actual game, people wouldn't buy it, or they'd return it and wouldn't recommend it to their friends. But modern gamers don't have any standards whatsoever, and they seem to constantly be addicted to this consumerist attitude, even going as far as to attack people like me who speak out against it. You get hordes of people fanboying and shilling for game publishers. Corporations who don't give a single crap about you, wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire, and see you as nothing more than a benefactor. They don't care about you. They only care about your wallet. And why on earth would you be so desperate to pay full price for a game you already own? Or could just buy pre-owned for an absolute pittance? I'm telling you guys, the next few years of gaming is going to consist of AAA open world tech demos that are boring beyond all belief, and remasters of old games with a slight graphical upgrade. That's the future of gaming, you heard it here first. Now before you guys accuse me of just ranting and providing no solutions, the solution is very simple: just play old games. When Rockstar or Bethesda or Ubisoft or whoever announces that they're going to be re-releasing one of their old classics, don't buy it. Instead, just play the original and tell your friends about it. Support retro gaming. And I mean genuine retro gaming, not chasing nostalgia, buying every single remake and remaster. Support physical media. Stop pre-ordering games, downloading games and all that nonsense. Buy old games in their purest form and actually play them. I promise you will have more fun than you think you will, because old games were made purely for the sake of having fun, and they weren't always boring tech demos. At least that's how I'm going to set the example. I haven't bought a single new release in a long time, because as always, I want to vote with my wallet, and do my bit to actually help the gaming industry improve by having good standards, and not rewarding predatory business practices and consumerist behaviour. Please guys, in future, before you write, "This game needs a remake," just think to yourself, does it really? Thanks for watching guys. As always, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Stay tuned for more retrospective video game reviews. Once again, I have a lot of reviews coming to the channel in the near future. Thanks for watching and God bless.